My sister tried to punish my nephew for being kind. My son and my nephew are both 10 years old and absolutely obsessed with Pokemon. Last week, my sister was over, and the two kids were sat at my kitchen table after school, opening booster packs. They were comparing pulls, trash-talking each other, and it was getting pretty heated. You look like IRL Geodude. Your deck is like my grandma. Then my nephew opened his last pack, pulled out a card, and completely froze. I saw my son lean over and his jaw dropped too. It was a shiny Charizard, the kind where Charizard is black instead of orange, worth like $500. They started screaming, jumping around. I didn't mean what I said about you looking like Geodude. I meant what I said about my grandma. They were still celebrating when my nephew suddenly stopped. He took the shiny Charizard and slid it across the table. Here, you take it, he said to my son. My son stared at him. What? No, that's your card. My nephew looked at him. Dude, look at your deck. He gestured at my son's deck. You've been opening packs for years and have nothing. I've got 3 holos already. I want you to have this card. You deserve it. It was true. My son loved Pokemon more than anything, but he had terrible luck. His cousin always pulled the rare cards, always had the better deck. Meanwhile, my son tried so hard, saved his allowance, bought pack after pack, yet never pulled anything. Spent so many nights crying because he never won. And here was his cousin, handing him a $500 card so they could win tournaments together. My son's eyes filled with tears. Thank you, dude, he said, reaching for the card like it was made of gold. Then my sister's voice cut through the room. No! She was standing in the doorway, arms crossed, face like Medusa. You are not giving that card away. My nephew's face dropped. But Mom, I want to. I don't care what you want. We're winners. We don't hand things to people who can't earn them. She walked over, grabbed her son by the arm, and snatched the card from the table and pocketed it. Then she dragged him out the door before anyone could even get a word in. My son sat there in silence. I could tell how crushed he was, but he also knew the card technically wasn't his, so there wasn't much either of us could do. But then the next day happened. My son came home from school at 3 p.m. sharp with the biggest smile, grinning like a mouse at a cheese resort. He unzipped his backpack and pulled out the shiny Charizard. He gave it to me anyway, he said. He told me his mom doesn't get to decide who he's kind to. My son spent the rest of the day building his deck. There was a tournament on Saturday that he and his cousin had already signed up for. I hadn't seen him this happy in months. Then at 7 p.m., there was a knock at the door. My sister. My nephew was standing behind her, but his eyes were red. He'd clearly been crying. He didn't want to be here. She shoved him forward. Go ahead, tell them. He stood there silent, looking at the ground. She slapped his shoulder. He flinched. I want my card back. His voice cracked. I could tell he didn't mean it, but my sister smiled. See? Your son stole from mine. I looked at her. He didn't steal anything. Your son gave it to him because he's kind. Kind? She laughed. That's what losers call it when they can't earn things themselves. She pointed at my son. Give it back. My son shook his head. It's mine. That's when my sister lost it. Started yelling at my son that he was a thief, a loser, just like his father. I stepped forward. Don't you ever talk to my son like that. I'll talk to him how I want, and I'm getting that card back. Watch me. She grabbed my nephew by the arm and stormed off. Saturday eventually came, the day of the tournament. My son was nervous on the drive over, not sure if he'd have to play solo, but by the time we got there, his cousin was already setting up. They hugged immediately. Did your mom let you come? My nephew shook his head. I snuck out. They won their first round, then their second. My son was beaming. Then my sister walked through the door. She scanned the room, saw her son, saw the card, and began to march over. You snuck out of my house, she yelled at my nephew. The whole room went Seitel. We're leaving, now. She grabbed his arm, but this time, he pulled away. I'm not going. My sister's face went purple. Excuse me? What did you just say, young man? He looked her in the eye. I said I'm not going, and I'm done doing everything you say, Mom. The room was dead silent. My sister tried to speak, but my nephew cut her off. You're crazy, Mom. You drove away every friend I ever had. You called my friends losers. You started fights with their parents. Timmy stopped being friends with me because you laughed that his jacket wasn't as expensive as mine. Tears were streaming down his face now. This is why Dad left. This is why no man wants to date you. My sister opened her mouth. Nothing came out. I gave my cousin the card because I wanted to, because he's the only friend I have left, and you tried to take that away too. He walked over to my son. I'm not going home with you. My sister looked around the room, at all the parents staring at her, at the judgment on every face. She turned and walked out without another word. My nephew looked up at me, eyes still wet. Can I stay with you, please? I put my hand on his shoulder. For as long as you need.